All right.
And we're live.
And
And we're
we're
live.
live. All righty. Welcome, everybody, to tonight's live stream. We've got Jonathan from Taboo Exotics on the line with us tonight. I'm so excited to get down with this interview. I am Adam from Beach Bum Exotic Side, and I've got Joel with me, my other host tonight.
Yep. I'm Joel, everybody. State 48 Exotics. So pretty excited to get this interview underway. You know, Jonathan has a ton of animals that I feel like isn't like our normal viewership, I guess you could say. I mean, he posted earlier today on his Instagram page. I think I counted like 6 different species or something like that in one post. So it's just kind of like, you know, I feel like we have a ride ahead of us a little bit, an educational experience for myself for sure. So I'm pretty excited with that.
Dude, heck yeah. So, Jonathan, you want to tell us a little about yourself? Kind of give us the generic story of, how you kind of got started in this, why you like reptiles, all that stuff.
Yeah, Jonathan Merrill, by the way, Taboo Exotics. Started like most of us, since we were kids, just, normal pet. For me, it was green iguana. And they actually still hold a place in my heart. They need so much room. And
yeah,
people consider them a beginner's pet, and they're really not. They're like, they should not be sold, in my opinion.
Yeah,
right.
those are big animals.
Yeah, I mean, very dangerous as well. I mean, I've gotten a chunk taken out of my hand messing with one of my females. So, and that's just the honest truth, And unfortunately, back then it was like mid '90s maybe. So I was born '86, so I was probably like 10, 8, 9, 10. No internet, and sad to say, I probably killed an iguana, once a year.
Right. Yeah.
They just, it's not like today where you can do your research and going back to carrying all these different species I have, it's all into research. But going back to how it started, that's how I got into ball pythons. The guy's like, maybe you should stop buying iguanas and get something you can probably take care of, a little less frequently, weekly care as opposed to, feeding daily like a dog for the iguana.
Right.
It started with the ball python right there for me. And that's all the way since I can remember. I've had some kind of reptile, but always a ball python,
Right.
I even remember I had a big 60-gallon aquarium, and I, made a little makeshift block so I can get a second, ball python in there. And
yeah, split the tank.
Yeah, and as the years went on and the internet became more accessible, it's just everything started flowing easy for me. And 2008 was my first year. Well, a little bit before that, I want to say 2006, I started breeding leopard geckos, and that's where the breeding started. And then 2008 was my first year breeding ball pythons.
Okay. So you bred the leopard geckos first then? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started leopard geckos. It's funny because a couple just landed on my lap, ended up a pair, ended up breeding, traded some of those babies for others. You know how that goes. And then built myself a little rack. That's when the internet started becoming a little more accessible. So I built this big old not PVC, I'm sorry, plywood rack, still 6-quart tubs, and went from there. And then once I got my first clutch of ball python eggs, it was just off and running with ball pythons from there. Sold all the leopard geckos,
Then the addiction started.
Yeah, I made a giant plywood rack, and just kind of carried it from there. I hit a rough spot about 2012 where I had to, sell most of what I had, and kind of just kept in touch with everything, and really jumped back in, full steam in 2015 with some higher end stuff. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Joel, you kind of had a similar experience, right?
I did,
you're messing around a little bit, just place and time of your life, you decided to part ways with your snakes, and then got back into it with a wealth of knowledge to kind of focus. So
right. Yeah. That's kind of, I feel like that's almost a blessing in disguise some of the times, because then you can, it's not necessarily starting over, but you can start with a bit of an advantage, when you're kind of moving forward and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. And obviously, Jonathan's done some pretty amazing things. I mean, I've seen some of his animals and they're silly. So, it helps, man. It does help to do stuff like that.
Yeah. And going back to you guys were saying, keeping multiple species and stuff like that, a lot of people, in my opinion, they overthink it. They become like a lot of it starts in a hobby, right? We're hobbyists, all of us. Another thing we all are was we all have addictive tendencies. I've noticed that with our community, whether it's, you know, alcoholism or gambling or whatever it is, but we're all hoarders.
Yeah,
You know, we end up with a multitude of different things sometimes, and sometimes you may dabble here or there, but you know, you go back to your bread and butter. But I really narrowed it down to stuff I can keep in how I set up my room, which is, you know, pretty tropical. You know, it's anyone that walks in my room is like, oh man, they could barely stand it for like, you know,
yeah.
3-4 minutes.
Hit with humidity.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of narrow it down like that, and I don't make it too hard on myself. You know, I find species that are similar. For example, blood pythons, berms, ball pythons all have similar care. They obviously, you know, you got to fine tune here and there, but humidity ranges are very similar. Care is very similar. Feeding is where, you know, that differentiates everything. So,
yeah, I think that's real interesting advice to kind of take away from that comment right there. You know, it is really, like you were saying, like you could keep multiple species if they're kind of in that same climate zone, right? Where it doesn't get too crazy, right? And if you try and force a species into that, you know, it's going to be a lot of problems for you. So either find a different area in the room maybe that fits it, or a different area in your house if you really have to have that species, or what. Because I mean, I know I have addictive tendencies as well. I'll see stuff on the internet and I'm just like, oh, all right, so who's breeding that? How do I get one of these? You know?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Sure. I mean,
and market hasn't helped with that.
And as Joel mentioned, and it was funny too, because when you guys, you know, mentioned that you guys were going to have me on, Joel mentioned from when I met you at the Pomona show, I was selling the carnivorous plants. But Adam was linking a different event to where when I first bought the carnivorous plants, which was a different Pomona show. So it's funny. He's like, yeah, you know, next thing I know, he had all kinds of them. And you were talking about how I was selling them. And that goes into the addictive habits where, you know, the previous show, I was buying some. Next thing you know, I have so many that, oh, dude, I gotta get rid of some of these. I overbought, you know. So
so you were saying you've been breeding ball pythons now for about a decade, right? Ish, right?
Give or take. You know, I had a 3-year span where I completely got out, just about, and then dove right back in, like Joel said, you know, with the clear pathway, 2015, and it's been steady ever since. You know, and I ran a rescue is how it started too, with the breeding in 2008. I would go on Craigslist and find these, you know, really beat up ball pythons and stuff. And the goal for me was the joy of bringing that thing back to health. And that's kind of where I'm at too. I like buying everything. Like, you know, as a breeder, sometimes we'll spend a lot of money and get a good sized breeder female or something like that. But I like to raise things up. I like the joy of caring from, you know, hatchling, infant size, you know, adulthood, watching it produce, things like that. So
yeah, that's an interesting take, because there's a lot of joy you can get out of you know, raising something from a hatchling and then seeing that snake then produce. I mean, that's pretty cool. I was fortunate enough to do that with 2 animals this past season, and that was awesome. That was just a cool thing to see, you know, the whole evolution of the animal, and then yeah, so that's cool. I like that too.
And then, you know, when I took in a couple of these 2 females, which I thought was 2 females, you know, I brought in these stick ball pythons, and you know, went to the vet, got them their antibiotics, taking care of them. Next thing you know, I had, you know, 6 eggs, all of them hatched, all perfectly healthy. So
no way.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Adam's having a little difficulty, you know.
Yeah, he might have frozen up a little bit on us, but he should bounce back here in a minute. But that's crazy. So did you were they just kind of paired for a minute and then separated?
They came from the same person.
Okay.
Had them in the same aquarium. You know, typical story that you know see on like some of these Facebook groups or Craigslist or whatever. You know, people that contact you, hey, how do I take care of this thing? You know, and I took them in. You know, they had, you know, blowing bubbles. You know,
gosh,
typical, you know, horrible husbandry. You know, I got them their shots. was going through that whole process. Next thing you know, I had eggs, you know, so.
Right. Then were they just too, was it too normal or too like, you know?
Yeah, just two normal ball pythons. And it was funny too, because now I know as a breeder, you know, let's say you get a sick animal and you give it antibiotic, it should not be able to lay those eggs. It should kill off the follicles.
Right.
So yeah, that was a real, so she must have been, you know, way along, and me being
Yeah.
inexperienced back then with that, you know, I ended up with a club. And that really kicked it off. Once I got that, I paid, shortly after that, I bought my first pie from Heather Wong for $750.
Right.
I bought a Mojave ball python for $700 in that
Right.
range. Bigger size female. I started buying morphs. You know, I bought a chocolate from BHB at the Anaheim Expo.
Right.
So I bought a
So
hypo.
that was like kind of the start into like the morphs and like the investment stuff and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah. Shortly after that, I bought Kevin McCurley's book and, you know, really hit it hard with the ball python. So
yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. And then now here you are, basically.
You're right over there, Adam.
I don't know, man. I keep jumping in and out of the call for some reason, but on the YouTube side, I look fine. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, in and out. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there he goes.
Yeah. I don't know if maybe the secondary accounts maybe making it freeze up, or I have no idea. We haven't ever had a problem like that before, actually.
Our phones are too good for him. He needs to update.
Yeah, exactly.
He's lagging.
He's in the past, man. He's in the past right now.
Yeah, no. But,
I don't know. Sorry, it's funny too.
Go ahead, Adam.
Oh, so no, sorry. It must just be me wigging out still. Nope. Yep.
All right. Yeah, man. But then that's when I started jumping into berms. From ball python to berms, and that's where I was for a long time up until recently.
Right.
As of, you know, in 2016, I got into the bloods. I picked up some king snakes, and going back to keeping things that you know are in the similar care range. My king snakes did not do good for me. You know, it was too much humidity. It just, in my opinion, too hot. So I ended up selling all my king snakes. It just wasn't compatible in my room for them.
Yeah.
So, and that's just one of those things, you know.
And that's I feel like that's an interesting thing to consider too, because I feel like, you know, a lot of people will jump in, like you were saying, to the different species and stuff like that, and not realizing that their room where they're keeping their animals isn't set up, you know, as well as it can be for all those varying species. So that's an interesting. I've actually never even thought of that. You know, actually, that's some good advice right there.
Yeah, that is really good advice. Yeah, I mean, there are really some species that I keep dropping in and out, man. Fuck. Oops, sorry, I dropped an F-bomb. My bad. Sorry, Mom.
It happens. All right. Let me try to get a preview.
Everybody has a freebie now.
My bad. Stupid internet, though. I don't know what's going on. Anyhow, but I was just going to parlay on that, you know. When I'm looking at different species out there, that at the beginning when I first started collecting, it wasn't focused around that. It was just whatever I liked, I wanted to put into a room and keep it, right? And then started having issues here and there. And I quickly realized, exactly like you're saying, Jonathan, if I set my room up great for the species and then focus around that, all the species do really good without a ton of trouble to me. Yeah, that's what we're here for.
You know, we're all of us right here are ball python breeders to begin with. I believe you're right too, Joe, or were you?
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, and that's kind of just base it off that, you know, like, for example, the tarantulas. I mean, tropical. I jumped into tarantulas, and that kind of started a similar story. You know, I ended up with a freebie at a show, ended up with a egg sac. It turned out to be a wild caught female. And ended up with 300 Simani slings, and you know,
you gotta be kidding me, man.
Yeah,
that's 2 in a row for you.
And just me knowing with my contacts in the community, you know, I contacted my buddy Roy at Unleashed Reptiles, or Unleashed Exotics, guided me through the whole process. Ended up with, you know, out of 300, I think I ended up with like 275, you know, healthy baby tarantula slings.
Oh my gosh.
And traded for, like, you know, I almost traded all of them, and, you know, I probably sold like $100 worth.
Right.
Ended up, now I have over 40 different tarantulas. different centipede species, things like that.
Right. So out of I guess a question to kind of tap onto that is out of everything you have, minus like I guess it would be considered insects and spiders and like that, for your reptiles, what do you think is your most rewarding species that you have?
Heloderma, the Mexican beaded lizards.
Okay. Yeah, those are really cool, man.
Yeah, they're awesome just in the sense of it's almost like a majestic animal to me because it's you got that hot factor, the venomous factor.
Uh-huh.
One of the few that we can keep without permitting here in California, at least. I know
Right.
many people don't require permitting. So you got to give it that respect, obviously, it being venomous. Very rewarding watching them grow. I don't know. I just love that species. And it's probably my top seller. I mean, I have a waiting list that I can, barely fulfill the orders on them, essentially.
Right.
I'm almost pressured to produce more when I can,
Yeah, they're really cool. I mean, I feel like it would probably be similar to California, but we have the Gila monsters here in Arizona.
Yeah.
And I feel like those are very similar between the beaded and the Gila monsters.
So they're very, very similar. They're cousins, so to speak. They're in the same family, Heloderma. But remember, so Mexican beaded lizards are further down south into Mexico and Guatemala, which is more of a tropical environment.
Okay.
So that's why, the Gila is going to want it a little bit drier.
Okay.
So I believe I can, I'd be able to do Gilas, but I know, the Mexican beaded is where it's at for me as far as how my room's set up.
Right.
As long as you give them dry bedding, but keep that humidity where it's supposed to be, they prefer it in the 50 to 60 range. I have it about 65. They still do great, and feed great. And yeah, I love them. I have one right here to show you guys before the feed's over. So
yeah, they're gorgeous, man. We can't own Gila monsters in Arizona. You're not allowed to own
here in California.
Yeah, right.
We followed you guys in. So Arizona petitioned to us, I believe, to make them protected over here as well.
Right.
So you guys protected them, then we protected them, followed suit after, and that's why Steve Angeli actually is one of the few, aside from zoological facilities, that can keep the Gila.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because when the first time I saw the beaded lizard, I was like, how are they keeping a Gila monster? Because I had no idea they were that close. But that makes sense. Yeah.
So, and you guys actually have a centipede that I recently got into centipedes. It's weird because, like I said, addictive tendencies. We start jumping into other things. But you guys got the heroes, which are the desert giant centipedes over there in Arizona as well.
I've seen a few centipedes over here, flipping rocks and stuff like that.
Yeah, go ahead and grab a couple and send them my way.
No, I'm all right, man. I don't want to touch those.
Yeah, those are really cool, man. And it's just like I said, I'm a true hobbyist in my opinion. Everything piques my interest. For example, look behind me, the fish. I even started a thing to help keep my humidity. I used to do a whole room humidifier in my room. I started keeping a couple fish tanks in there instead. I got the bright idea, and spot on, 65% humidity year round, won't fluctuate.
Yeah. I was talking to Nick from Renowned Reptiles when he was out here a couple months ago, and he was talking about that, putting fish tanks in your snake room.
Yep.
I was like, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. I kind of leave the tops open. I get more evaporation, stuff like that. But and I'm making it take care of itself as well. I'm started breeding angelfish in there and stuff.
Right.
And just with a couple tanks. So
I'm gonna start tilapia. I'm gonna start a tilapia
too. There you go. You're gonna need a big tank.
Real big. That's all right though. Sustainable source.
Just joking. No, the freshwater stuff's really cool. What do you have behind you there? So you said you had some angelfish and.
Well, this behind me, this is more of a come up kind of situation.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
A 75 gallon, and some dude pretty much gave it to me, some Armenian dude. And I ended up with the canister filter and the whole setup. So I just repainted it, and I ended up putting some cichlids in there, which are awesome. So what I did is a whole theme, so they're all from the same region, and they all can cohabitate and all that. So Actually, you
Cool.
can see a little net kind of floating in there. I got some eggs today, so I'm kind of hoping they hatch. That'd be pretty cool.
Oh, no
Oh,
way, man.
yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Something new, you know? So,
Yeah. Growing up, my dad used to breed cichlids. He did South American and African both. We had our entire garage was just lined with tanks. It was kind of cool.
I
Um,
have a feeling that's going to happen with me.
it's,
You know?
I mean, he had some really beautiful ones. I mean, the colors that are produced in them, you know, you don't really expect it because a lot of the varieties, especially some of the ones that you see in the books, are very drab. So some of the
Yeah.
cichlids, though, dude, they're awesome.
Yeah, and these are the Central Americans, and they get that big, they call it cock,
Right.
COC or KOK, but they get a nocto hump, and it's pretty cool. You know, the male gets this. He looks like a big old sperm whale, essentially. So
Totally.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
We had a question in chat that I thought was kind of cool for your process in socializing the helodermas. That's what I believe is the beaded.
yeah. So I get that a lot, you know, and I mean, my best advice is respect this animal at all times,
Yeah.
even when you assume it's socialized. One of the most socialized animals I've seen as far as heloderma goes is from Lauren Morales, a friend of ours. His is like a puppy dog, you know, it just roams around his house. The one I have right here, he's pretty socialized, but nonetheless, if I spook her, she will bite me, you know.
Right.
One of the things I do, and it's not, I can't say it's, you know, proven or, you know, there's any science behind it, but I feel like keeping the babies together in a group after they hatch helps because they become associate the touch, you know, and not get so spooked. I've noticed sometimes when I separate them, like nicer quality animals, I'll separate them, you know, and keep them in individual tubs. They tend to be pretty mean, and Miguel just got one of those, so hopefully Miguel don't get bit. But yeah,
So what
man.
happens if you get bit by one? What's that
So
look
there's nothing you can really do. There's no like anti-venom or anything like that. Apparently, it's very painful. I haven't been bit. You know, I essentially started as an apprenticeship early 2016, I believe, late 2015, when I got back into everything um, with a friend that Bob Gunter introduced me to. And I would just drive over there, kind of pick his brain, help him out. Really old school guy, keeps everything in aquariums. You know, he has old school blanket heaters. That's his little heating sources.
Oh, no kidding.
You know,
Okay.
he's been doing it for a long, long time. And I started with him, and you know, the first year, he doesn't really like to deal with people, so he was like, "Here, you know, basically brokered them. You know, the babies. You know, here, sell these babies. I don't like dealing with people. You've been helping me a lot." And he was pretty thrilled at my selling abilities.
Right.
So year after that, I ended up, you know, a couple free animals from him for helping out, and you know, um, essentially selling some of the stock I got from him. And I started buying here and there, and also getting some animals from him. And now I have my own stock. So now we're kind of collaborate on that. But yeah, I still want to expand on that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
really cool.
they're really, yeah. I want to get a couple different species that are now becoming captive bred. You know, Alvarezi, for example, is really endangered, and Stephen Jelly just produced a clutch, and I believe Forrest Fanning, that's his name, correct? Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's got some of them too. So
Yeah, I
that'd be
saw
great.
Forrest.
So
He talked about it. That's cool, man. Um, we had some other questions pop up. It seems like people are really loving the beaded lizard. So Rich McCall wanted to know, what do you feed him on average?
so I'm very big. A lot of us, well, you know, breeders are the ones that breed them. For example, one of the originals, you know, Steve Angeli and Bob Applegate, they're huge on strictly rodents, and I agree. A lot of people give them, you know, eggs, different things, which, you know, in the wild, yeah, they're foraging animals. You know, they'll go and just pick off stuff as they can, but they're not in the wild. Our eggs are not the same nutrient profile that they'd be finding. You know, they get sick easy. They'll start regurgitating. Basically, in my opinion, it doesn't have the full nutrient profile they need. So strictly rodents. So
Interesting.
babies, yeah, strictly rodents. I'm huge on that. And water at all times. You know, as far as in my opinion, 3 days without water is way too much. You know, they fail right away with that.
Okay.
So, for example, I'll show you the one I got right here. She's my female that produced the babies that I just hatched. she's on a small rat, small to medium sized rat, once a week, and the babies will get a small pinky every 3 to 4 days. So
gosh, almost identical to ball pythons.
yeah, exactly. And I have them in racks. A lot of people, you're gonna get different opinions on this as well, and a lot of skepticism as far as how they should be kept. But in my opinion, they're just like the blue tongue skink. They don't need the UVB. It's great, if you can provide that, but they do great in my racks. So belly heat, I take them out all the time, hold them all the time, but I don't give them full spectrum lighting.
Right. So you have that? You have one right next to you right now. You could show us, or is that pretty difficult to do?
Let me pull her out.
And now we have our first live stream of the beaded lizard, dude. We've never had this. Cool.
I'm gonna say, people with them don't start running out and picking up their damn lizards if they're not used to them. I'm not gonna call anyone out by name, but someone bought one from one of the pet stores that I deal with locally, and he sends me a picture of his finger all bit this morning. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh no.
Like, you didn't get it from me. All right. So this is, you're going to see, she's nice and calm right now.
Man, she's big.
Yeah.
My female. Let's see if I can get a close-up of her. But they're very inquisitive. They're going to tongue flick all the time. It's funny, too, because they make this noise. Almost sounds like a ball python with a respiratory infection. So they kill me. Yeah, like they go, and it's like, and I'm cleaning snakes. I'm like, what the hell is that? I'm like, and I'm like, oh, okay, the heliderma. But let's see if I can get a full profile. So you can see she's about, going on 3 feet long, maybe 2.5, just above that. Yeah. But she's on the younger side to start breeding. Last year was her first year. I'm probably going to give her this year off to bulk her up and get her a little bit bigger because the male's really huge. And they can be pretty persistent in the breeding process. So I don't want her to end up sick or hurt or anything. So.
Yeah. Is it kind of like the blue tongues where you really have to be up and personal with the breeding process? Like they end up going into combat kind of, or?
The males go into combat. So the males will wrestle, pin each other. And the thing is, in the wild, when one loses, it's going to run away. And here it's trapped inside a cage with it, an enclosure, and it's going to get killed. Right. They'll fight and fight and fight, and it'll probably keep fighting its dead body, in my opinion.
Right.
But yeah, so in the females, the males are really aggressive when it comes to breeding. So I put them in there. I put them in. I don't have to be standing over it, so to speak, but I do watch them. I'll go in there periodically, make sure, look for a lock. And then if you go through my Instagram page, you'll see some of the locks I had with her. And then, the incubation period is between, it took mine at least 7.5, 8 months for them to hatch.
Oh, wow.
It's a long incubation. And she's really calm. So, the biggest thing, most people get bit reaching into the cage because I don't know if you ever see pictures of them, they sleep really weird. They'll sleep in these positions where they're upside down or floating in their water or look like they're dead. And then you're like, oh man, you reach in and grab it and bam, it's
bam.
It's spooky, So, and apparently it's one of the more painful bites, as far as, pain factor goes. So.
Yeah. How long does it take them to reach that size and average breeding weight?
This girl right here is approximately 4 years old.
Okay. So,
I'm going to give her the year off. So her next flush she'll be around 6, 5.5, 6 range. Right. Which is perfect. They mature about the same as ball pythons as well. 3 to 4 years.
Okay.
That'd be perfect for them. And also you want to go off their size. Males get really big. I'm not going to put a big giant male with a smaller female. And I wouldn't want to. Just my opinion. Others may have different views on that. So.
Okay, so it's kind of the reverse then, where the males hold the larger.
Yeah. So obviously snakes, almost all species of snake. The female's going to get really robust and big compared to the male. The males in Heloderma get pretty big. In fact, Steve Angeli, I don't know if you ever seen his booth at Pomona Show. He always has this big giant male. Looks like it can
really massive one.
Yeah, it looks like it can eat your whole hand. But you can see, I can pet her head right now. I can do basically anything with her right now because she's out. She knows, I'm not a threat. I have her, but in the cage, I'm not nowhere near like this. I'm very cautious. Um, I may touch it with the tongs or a toilet paper. I mean, a paper towel roll or something.
Just to let her know you're there, and it's
Yeah,
not,
and she
yeah,
still may try to get me.
right.
So,
Gosh, yeah, you're fighting a fire right there.
Oh man, those
but
are so cool.
I know for a fact this one. Once I have her like this, she won't do nothing. If I set her down right here, she's just gonna roam around. The only reason I don't is because my dog's pretty curious and she'll run over.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Oh man, that's so
That's
cool,
great.
dude.
So
yeah.
how much do you, out of curiosity, how much do you sell those for?
So the babies, all of them go for 650,
Okay.
650 range. I remember my first year I did them for 500 because my buddy that I was telling you about, he just produced so many. Everything seemed to go that year. Um,
Right.
we had over 20 individuals, hatchlings that we were selling, and we held back a good amount too. Um, and then this past year, for example, he slugged out on everything. He just had a bad year, and I was the only one that produced. So we had only a couple to sell, and that's why I couldn't fulfill my waiting list. But
Yeah, your quota.
yeah, so it's we sell them for 650 though. Easy answer.
Yeah.
If we get a lot, that's when I'm able to be flexible with it, and it's just because I want to hold the integrity of the market.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but yeah, for the most part, 650, 5 to 650. I'll say it like that.
All right. That's pretty cool, and especially for a specialized animal like that, right? Like,
Right. That's not
Yeah,
that expensive to me.
and the thing that bothers me though is it's one of those catch 22s, almost like the green iguana. Let's say you're a green iguana breeder, you're going to be hesitant to sell it to a lot of people because they don't know what the hell they're doing, or they're going to
Right.
take it home and
yeah,
give it iceberg lettuce and no lights. Same with them. I try to tell people like, hey, strictly rodents, water at all times, dish big enough to go inside and just lay in there. That's what they do.
hmm
um and maybe hopefully 50-50 listen. hopefully
Right.
hopefully
Right.
all listen, but I know it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I actually have a waiver I have people sign, you know releasing liability,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
because
that's
I
smart.
mean there's some dumb people out there, excuse me. But you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
People are
sad,
dumb.
you know um but I know when it's going to a good home. You can tell when someone's at your booth looking for what they want, and they're absorbing everything you're telling them. So
Right.
yeah.
That's
Huh.
yeah, and then they don't take up a lot of space. You were saying you have them in your rack systems like that. Is that for an
I
adult?
do have them in a bigger rack system. You can keep them in a V70 type tub,
Uh-huh.
or the ARS type tub. I would keep one individual per tub on that. But I do those big Vision boa tubs, which are
Oh
three
yeah,
by
yeah.
three and by nine. And I'll keep 2 or 3 females in those, depending on their size. I'm gonna put it back in right here,
Yeah.
and then one male per each of those.
Okay.
So
So it's like a
um,
colony. So like it's kind of similar to I feel like what you can do with leopard geckos and stuff like that.
yeah, exactly. And they go together in the wild. When they brumate. They find them in dens. Well, Gila monsters, for example, they find them in dens with rattlesnakes and things of that
Right.
nature. Um, so yeah, they can definitely go together. And I've seen one actually bite the other as babies. And the venom don't do nothing to each other. So it's kind of weird.
Interesting. Oh wow, that's got to be, yeah. Because I bet you the first time you saw that, you're like, all right, okay, are we gonna have a dead baby here? Let's see what goes
Well,
on.
he warned me. The guy that taught me, his name's Evan. He taught me. He told me what to look for and what to be careful of, because it's like I told you. Sometimes I keep them together to kind of tame them down or socialize them, back to that original question, because I feel like it does. But it's hard to feed them in there, and I don't believe in separating animals to different tubs to feed them, because then you got to move them back after they ate a big meal and stress them. So I kind of try to coax one to one corner and one to another, and yeah, I've had one turn on the other one and kind of give him a little love bug.
Yeah.
you
A
know,
little snack.
yeah,
Oh, man.
but he's fine.
That's
Um,
cool.
yeah. So
So, before we dive into kind of ball pythons and what you're working there, I know a lot of our audience is, really in the ball pythons and all that. The tarantulas, I've recently had a cool experience. My neighbor, he just had a birthday and he loves spiders. So for his birthday, I bought him a tarantula, a pink toe. But
okay,
Yeah. So what are you working with? You working with some of the really cool like versicolor ones and
No, so those are all avicularia. Those are pintos,
uh-huh.
which are arboreal species. I had a couple. Um, they're beautiful, but they just weren't for me, so to speak.
Okay.
I fell in love with this species right here, which I have right here. Um, this is a Brachypelma species, which are, they're like from Mexico, Mexican species, very docile. Trying to get her. She's kind of freaking out a little bit. Let's see if I can show it, if it shows up.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
yeah.
But this is a Brachypelma albiceps, which is a golden red rump. We don't really use common names. It was funny too, because I used to go around the shows and be like, what kind is that? And they give me some crazy scientific name, and I'll be like, freaking geek, And now I'm that geek, Like I used to be like, give me the common name, and I realized why they do that, because literally 3 or 4 tarantulas can have the same common name, because
Right.
people, where they come from, they call them the same thing, It's a damn tarantula, they give it the same name, you know. Um, so this is a Brachypelma albiceps. This is actually my favorite girl. I'm gonna put her back because I don't want her. I don't like holding them too much. But yeah, I ended up doing a cool little trade with a local guy named Jason. He got into ball pythons and had a bunch of tarantulas. So I gave him a pied, a puma, and a couple nicks and knacks just to get him going in ball pythons. And he gave me a large collection of tarantulas.
Oh wow.
And I
Was that a JH pythons? Is that
no,
uh,
not Jason. I actually was talking to him yesterday because I'm getting some green trees. But no, it's just it's a local guy off Facebook. His name is
all
Jason
right.
Hopkins. Um, and I just kind of took what I liked and what I felt was doing good in my room and stuff like that, like our previous conversation, and kind of ran with that. So mostly what I work with is Brachypelma and another species that I can't pronounce the scientific name, but it's green bottle blues. It's GBBs, which are one
Oh,
of my
okay.
favorites. And I just got a male because I have a breeding size females, and I got a nice breeding male from Torpedoes and Tarantulas on YouTube.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, we're
I've
doing
seen
it.
his channel. He's
Yeah,
got
he's
some cool stuff.
really cool, man. He
Yeah.
gave me a chance. I'm really a nobody in the tarantula world, and he, trusted me enough because those females are notorious man eaters. They eat the males. That's what they do,
Yeah,
And
they're
I've had
cannibals.
success. Yeah, I've had success with that species, and he's given me the chance, to basically prove to him that may make something happen with that breeding loan. So traditional breeding loan is kind of like it in tarantulas. It's pretty straightforward. It's 50-50 loan,
Right.
Right.
You ship the mail to me, I ship it back out of my own cost with the babies, and go your separate ways after that. It's pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
that is. So maybe you could dive not like too deep, but a little bit. So rearing the babies. I know you had spoke earlier, you got that female, and she actually happened to be I don't know what you call it in the tarantula world,
I
gravid
honestly
or
don't know
whatever.
either. I would say grab it. I say grab it, and I like sometimes I'm afraid to say stuff, because I'm fairly new to it. I mean, I've been doing it, a little while now, but um, I'm afraid to say things, because for example, if a ball python guy was like, hey, you know,
I
say
got you. I
something
got you.
off to me, and I'm like, that's not what it really is, but okay, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say grab it. Yeah, so essentially, um, you pair them up. It's a whole different concept of breeding. Look into it. I'm not gonna go into it too deep, but approximately, hopefully, like a month later, month and a half or so, she's gonna make her web, lay the eggs in it. They make, obviously, everyone's seen a spider sack,
Yeah.
with tarantulas, it looks like they're holding onto a ping pong ball.
Right.
Um, and it was fairly new to me when I first did it with that Simani. It was a Phonopelma Simani, which is a Costa Rican striped knee. My buddy Roy ran it down for me, and he's like, just leave it in there for 26 days. I don't know why it had to be 26, but it was 26. And then I pulled that out, and you make a little incubating tub out of a tall deli cup, and you can see that in one of the pictures I posted on Instagram today. It's basically, I use cheesecloth, or you can use a coffee filter,
Okay.
and you put water underneath it for the humidity. And I have a snake incubator, obviously for my eggs. And he's like, you could put it in there, but we both started talking, and we realized like my ambient temperatures, going back to hosting similar animals, were already perfect. So I just left it in the room, and
Oh,
Right.
okay.
I want to say it was So we opened it up. You get eggs with legs, and I want to say it was 30 days later or so, they all started molting out and becoming, tarantulas from little white balls.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then that's when the work comes in, where now you have 275 damn little slings that you got to separate the individual tubs. Feeding them, you got to drop one. One.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It becomes a job, but the GBB is really fun to do. That's a really beautiful species. I suggest, everyone look them up and, get the concept of them. They're just really beautiful.
Well, my neighbor's tarantula that I got him really sparked my interest. So I think I'm going to be hitting you up, dude. I kind of want some tarantulas for myself now.
Yeah. And the whole new world for me is like I mentioned earlier, is the centipedes, man. Those are really interesting.
Yeah, you can keep those. I don't want those.
Yeah, and it's funny too because they freaked me out. The first night I got one, it was probably about 3 months back. I put it in this container. I have a little contact. He's a foreign exchange student from Singapore. He's like, "You probably set it up, broken English a little bit, set it up." And then I opened the tub to feed it. This thing comes flying out of the ground like Tremors, like that movie Tremors. And just lands on my floor. I'm like, "Oh God!" I just did not expect that. Almost, it killed me. But
yeah, I would have been running around screaming myself.
I was a little freaked out, man. But I got it under control. I kept my composure, and now I got 2 more. So.
Gosh, yeah, that's too much, man. That's too much for me.
So the centipedes, what do you feed those guys? Like big roaches and?
Honestly, man, they'll eat whatever you put in front of them.
No kidding.
Yeah, but since I do crickets for the tarantulas, I don't like dubia because they just stink in my opinion. I do the crickets. I just buy enough. I go to the local store and buy enough just to barely feed what I have. I don't like keeping them. And I just throw them in there and they come out. I'll go check like an hour later and they're eating it. And then if they don't, I just take it out because crickets can eat. Just like you don't leave a rat with ball python. So
right.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so kind of same dietary.
Yeah.
We had a question come in earlier. With all these different species that you keep, is there a species that is still on your list that you don't have yet?
Yes, and it's coming next week. Well, yeah, a couple. But green tree pythons have always eluded me, and I've always almost got it, and I just, for some reason, don't pull the trigger. Something ball python comes up, or life.
Yeah.
And even my wife likes those. Even though she'll never hold anything I have. But, they're just really beautiful and always, I know they have like certain husbandry needs, and that's why I called Jason yesterday just to kind of retouch everything, even though I've done my own research. But yeah, I got a pair coming next week from a good buddy that it's funny too because it all started. I met him through carnivorous plants.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I bought carnivorous plants off him, and then I go, "Hey, we have a lot of the same contacts. Are you into reptiles?" He's like, "Yeah, man." So then we just started trading back and forth, just like the normal story in our world.
Awesome. Oh man, I can't wait to see that. I love the green tree pythons as well. That's a species that's definitely on the bucket list. Those and the ATBs and
well, for me, my main one, going to that one that may elude me for a couple more years. I've honestly, I don't know if you guys know who Pro Exotics are, but they're shifted reptiles now, and in 2009, I want to say it was, I called them. I almost pulled the trigger on a trio before they burned down. It's the Bolin's python.
Oh, nice.
I absolutely love and adore the Bolin's python. I have since way back then, 2008.
Yeah.
And that's one of those species where that's a true hobbyist snake to me because not too many people breed it. There's something with them, that people can't unlock that key.
Yeah.
And a couple have, most never will, and that's kind of captivating to me. I want to be in on that, try to unlock the key, so to speak.
Yeah. Dude, that's cool. Have you talked with Mike, I think, over at Reef and Reptiles? He's working with Bolins.
No, I haven't actually. I've talked to John Jungle. John?
Yeah, John also.
Yeah.
He's messing with them too.
Yeah, he's got a couple. I've seen them. I love them. I know Nerd's messing with them. And I'm in a couple groups that I talk with people here and there.
Yeah.
I got Ari Flange's book he just came out with. Serpent in the Clouds. Look that up. It's pretty awesome. They do on field, out there in Papua New Guinea, doing the research on them.
Dude, for sure.
That's great.
So, yeah, so that's one that I really want bad.
Awesome, man. That's gonna be sweet. Hey, going back to the green tree python, are you getting a locality specific?
Aru, yeah. I've always wanted sarongs, and always wanted sarongs. That's kind of why I never pulled the trigger. I'm kind of specific to what I want, and I'll wait for that right animal. But this came across my plate, and he's gonna be getting out of them anyway. So I jumped on it. So
awesome, man.
Them next week, and that's gonna. I'm actually sending them some Heloderma next year. I mean, that's kind of the trust I build with people. Luckily, I've met really good people in the hobby that I'm able to do these deals with. Where hey, give me this now, and I'll shoot you that later, or vice versa, and stuff like that. So
yeah.
I think that's one of the really cool things about this hobby, right? Is we're meeting people across the nation or even in our local area that otherwise we would never have any reason to interact with, right? But this commonality brings us together, and then we form friendships. And I mean, that's amazing, right? Like, he's going to send you this. You're going to send something to him next year. I mean, most people in their right mind would be like, wait, next year? Like, what are you talking about?
and he got one this year, and he loved it, and that's kind of sparked him. He's like, how can I get a couple more? I'm like, you're good, bro. I got you next year. Don't even worry about it. And the next message down was, you into green trees? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I'll send you a couple. I'm like, oh, man, cool. Seriously? Send me the pictures and stuff. I don't know, going back to meeting people, Adam, I don't know if remember when I met you, I thought you were someone that most in the community don't like. And I was like, if he comes to talk to me, I'm going to punch him. and Mike was like, you dork. It's not even, like, you met him before. I'm like, I'm confusing people then, man. I won't mention his name. But yeah. I saw you walking up. I'm like, Mike, if he even says hi to me, I'm gonna punch him right now. And he's like, Adam's cool, man. What's wrong? What do you do? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, wait, I'm thinking of someone else. Okay, you know who I'm talking about.
I do know who you're talking about. I'm not even gonna say the name on the live stream, but I do know who you're talking about. Yeah. And it's so I remember seeing you. And you did. You literally did about face and just walked away. And I was looking at I'm like, well, I guess I'll meet Jonathan another time. I had no idea you were like, I'm gonna freaking punch this guy.
I was trying not to go to jail. What I really was like, before the show, we're setting up Friday, end up going to jail. So
oh man, but and that's another cool thing. Like you were just saying, through Porter, you and I actually started talking, and that's another thing, right? It's like you meet one person and they've got contacts, and you're cool with them, and they open that door for you to some of the people they've known, and that's reciprocated down the line. And so, I mean, this hobby, business, industry, whatever you want to call it, that's one of the special aspects to it, right? Is that when you meet the good people, make sure you stay in contact with them, keep those relationships up, because not everybody out there is like that, right? And so when you find the good ones, keep them close and establish that relationship.
Absolutely.
That sets you up for success. All right, so we are at 6:50. This conversation's going so fast right now. Like, I can't even believe when I look down, we're already at 6:50. I kind of want to change gears if you guys are down. And Jonathan, I'd like to give you a moment maybe to talk about some of your ball python stuff, since we've focused on other species so much. Something like a project you're really excited.
Yeah, that's actually the only thing I brought out. I'm gonna apologize to my little zookeeper. She's a friend or a good friend of ours on Instagram. She wanted to see Stella, which is my big bird, and that was gonna be too much. I realized after I told her I would, but I brought a couple smaller ball pythons out from a project that not too many people have worked. I was excited to get into this year with Adam's Reptiles, my little group. Mike Porter. A couple of other individuals were in this. We went the route that Justin Kabaka was going, and I'll see if I can catch this on here. But this is the chocolate clown stuff. So I don't know how clearly this animal comes out on there, but this is an Enchi chocolate leopard pinstripe het clown. So it's an
Oh,
Enchi night hearing. So, and I got the same thing in a female, and I don't know how clearly that came out for you guys, but you can see how reduced this girl is. Almost looks like a spider.
Hold it up a little more. Perfect. Oh, dude, right there.
Yeah, but
That's
you can
amazing,
see.
man.
Yeah. So again,
That's
you can
gonna
see
look
how reduced and
ridiculous.
broken down. And these are our holdbacks. I was selling this girl at first because I wanted to get pinstripe since we have the same thing in a male. Um, I wanted to kind of have the chance of not, less chance of not producing pinstripe clowns. It's
Right.
not really too hot in my opinion. Other people may like it. Because I have in that same clutch we got a chocolate leopard Enchi.
okay.
So I held that back. So I kept getting lowballed on her. So I'll just keep her.
Yeah. Just keep it.
And yeah, so we're really excited on this project. I didn't bring anything else out, but I think we all know ball pythons in here. I mean, most of the project I'm working is one animal I should have brought out is one I got from Mike, who luckily I get to pick and choose all the best stuff from.
Yeah.
Is a black pastel yellow belly hypo. And that's probably the most beautiful snake I've ever laid eyes on, in my opinion.
Oh my gosh.
And you can
Black
see her on my page.
Hypo,
Yeah.
like that complex is insane what Hypo does. It's just a black pastel, and then you add that yellow belly to it. That's ridiculous. Like that's
Yeah.
one of my favorite combos right there.
Yeah, and her name's Jean Grey, just to give you an idea of how, washed out and how much the hypo influences that
Right.
project. So I mean, and that's why Porter, myself, Adams Reptiles, Robert Hudson, Hutch Family Reptiles, we all flow perfectly because we're not clashing. I focus on the clowns, the hypo. I got chocolate from Adam. We kind of mixing on that, but Mike is the pies, and we all grab a couple of pies here and there from him, stuff like that. He's got other cool stuff, obviously, that he's picked and chose over time. Him and Adam now went in on the caramel albino, which not a lot of people are on because of the fertility issues.
Yeah.
But people don't realize, Adam's got a girl that produces consistent, viable clutches. And not too many people know or are caught up on that, and everyone goes the ultramel route when caramel albino is very much, I think, a higher quality in my opinion.
Yeah, caramel is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And no confusion there for anybody. I know I've been hit up. Adam's Reptile's been hit up. We are not the same guy. Adam's way better looking than I am. So.
Yeah, man. But I don't think we have to go in too much into ball python care or anything. But I do ambient. I keep my room at 84 degrees.
Okay.
But I still believe in the belly heat. Most people go ambient or belly heat. I give them that choice. It'll probably go down to about 82 at night. In winter, I kind of tone things down. It'll probably dip to like 79, somewhere in that range. And that also, goes into effect on my heloderma because they need to brumate. And that slight temperature change really puts them into brumation for me. It doesn't need to be too drastic. Just like the Gila, some people put them in air conditioners, down to 60 degrees.
Right.
So it all works for me, man. Everything I have is flowing right now perfectly.
Yeah, good. So do you end up kind of rotating females that maybe you're more interested in building follicles and producing to the bottom of your racks? Do you kind of do like rack placement stuff? Or
I'm actually different. I put my males to the bottom. I don't like my males to be too hot.
Okay.
I do have the ARS rack that I picked up recently, the 70, the V70 style tub, 70 series with the cup holder that I've changed over to where I have all my females in there now. But that bottom row for me is all my smaller Burmese pythons growing up. I don't like them to be as hot as I keep my ball pythons. But for me, I lower the males.
Okay.
Because in my opinion, I don't get as good breeding when the males are kept as hot.
Interesting.
I don't know if I've heard things that kills the sperm or whatever, but it's just my preference, I guess. As for females, like for example, this year I'm hardly going to produce anything. I gave all my girls a year off. I probably bred 5 girls, and that's my dreamsicle project. And I bred a couple hypo girls. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's it.
So I want to bulk them up, and Mike and I do that same thing where he'll give girls the year off, and he's a little smarter than me because he keeps a rotation. Like he's never gonna have a down year. I did it where I have a complete down year, so to speak.
Right.
I like to do that for my girls. It's not that it's necessary. Other people have different opinions on that. Where if they're willing to go, they'll go. I give them the choice of not going by not breeding them.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I was gonna rotate a few of my females out, which I ended up rotating a couple of them out just because I noticed like their body weight was good, but it wasn't as rapidly put on as a few of my other females who had gone back to back. And even this year they're going again, but that's because they even gained in weight by like 300-400 grams, right? Like they showed me they were ready.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize, the anatomy of the stuff we keep is not meant to be fed as consistently as we do. I mean,
True.
in all honesty, it's really not. A lot of people. I mean, I agree. I do weekly feedings, but there's a point where, like, coming into winter, I go to 2 every 2 weeks. If I have a really really big female, I'll switch sometimes even to like between 14 and 3 week, 14 day and a 3 week in between feedings.
Right.
And they won't lose a gram of weight. In fact, they'll still gain weight, and that's their anatomy. You don't have to stress on, hey, my ball python didn't eat for the last 72 hours. Like, let it wait. I mean, I've had one go 9 months, and there's some of these Facebook groups where they're like, if it doesn't eat every week, you're wrong. You die. I'm like, God, oh my God, and it's just the anatomy of the snake. If it's hungry, it's gonna eat. If you're doing something wrong, it's gonna be losing weight and it's gonna get sick, and you're not gonna get good sheds, and you're gonna know it.
Yeah.
If it's just chilling and not eating, but everything's just right, hey, guess what? They're not feeling it. They're not gonna eat right now.
Right. Yeah, that's probably one of the most common questions I feel like is asked, and I get is my ball python hasn't eaten this week. What's going on?
Yeah.
It's being a ball python. That's what it's doing.
Yeah.
Like they don't need to eat constantly.
It's funny too, yeah, because Mike and I, we get so many return customers and so many friends now, that are getting in, and we get them in by selling them ball pythons, by guiding them the wrong way, because they'll go to someone else and they'll tell them whatever they want to hear to get the sale. We've turned away sales. Hey, you're not ready. Or
Right.
hey, guess what, kid? Come back next semester. The next show will probably be, a couple report cards from now. Raise those grades up, or guide them on what they actually have to do to maintain this animal. And they're like, really, all that? They told me I didn't need that. Like, this isn't for me. Like, yeah, it's probably not for you.
Right.
And you got to do that because, then you're going to end up with a sick snake or a dead snake or someone just killing a snake because they don't care, so. Or release it, which you don't want. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's see. Here we are towards the top of the hour. One other ball python related question we did have pop in. Are you working with Tri-Stripe?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a new project. Yeah, that's a new project. I really love stripy stuff. I had genetic stripe albino project that I really liked, but I just could not sell genetic stripes. I just couldn't sell them. No one wanted them. And I really liked the stripy stuff, so I went with the tri-stripe. I have a pastel tri-stripe male and a couple het females coming up, and we're gonna take that to a bunch of stuff this next year too, and get a bunch of hets going. So.
Dude, awesome. I think the Tri-Stripe project, I haven't seen Will Morrow's in here yet, but I think it's like one of the sleeper genes, you know what I mean? So
yeah, very underrated.
Yeah. But I guess, now that question's out up front, Jonathan, what's your opinion on what's the sleeper gene out there?
A lot of old genes that are coming back. There's a lot of genes. For example, people sleep on chocolate, and all of a sudden Justin, drops the ball on everything, and and the world's, oh my God, chocolate, like, and I bought my first chocolate in 2009. It's like it's an old gene, and way before that, there's some older guys where I talked to, Hidden Gene Walma is gonna make a comeback. I like granite stuff. I mean, granite stuff's gonna make a comeback in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's too many new genes that kind of pique my interest, aside for a couple recessives, you know. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I think it's going to be old stuff. A lot of old
Yeah,
stuff. I think you're going to see a lot of stuff that has been forgotten about coming back. So,
coming back.
Yeah,
The
I would agree to
the
that.
retro vibe,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
that happens, right?
But what happens is there's new things at play now. For example, I mean, clown's been around for a while, but it's recently been, you know, really unleashed its
Mhm.
potential, and they're tapping that into old. Like, have you seen, you know, for example, they mix that into hidden gene Woma now, and chocolate, and you know, certain old genes that are just killing it. I think granite, you know, clown needs to be done. I don't know if I've seen it, but
Right.
and old genes that, you know, at the time were completely tapped out. There was nowhere really left to go.
Yeah,
People are going to start touching that again. So
totally. Well, and I think too, like some of it, like granite, for example, that had such a peppered past where you had a lot of people saying, "Oh, look at the flecking on the side. That means it's granite." Or by this animal, right? And so all of a sudden you had like a 50-50 of good information and misinformation, and
yeah,
people ran away from granite because it was really hard to tell who was telling the truth and who wasn't because it was a smaller gene as far as the expression goes, right? It didn't like throw these crazy things, but when it reacted correctly,
yeah,
holy cow.
yeah. And
Right,
it's and there's different granites. You know, there's genetic granite. You know,
right,
that's the one that's the one I think is the big key, the genetic
right.
granite. You know, um, there's the other one I want to say, I can't remember the other one, that's the
There's
codon one.
carbon is a pretty granite like, I feel like, snake.
Yeah, and for example, Blitz is
Yeah,
like, to me, it's a form of granite, you know, and it's you get this, you know, Blitz is a good example of it. In my opinion, you know, there's a lot of things
Right.
named the same, you know, we
Name's
really need to stop doing that, you know. But you know, that's a really quality granity animal, in my opinion, that, you know,
true.
needs to be tapped. So
Yeah, totally, man. I agree. So, I mean, that's, kind of some advice thrown out there is just because you read something on a Facebook group or,
yeah,
some
that's the
website.
word.
Exactly. Right. Find some animals that you like, engage with those people that have produced them, find out, what's up. Right. And most of the people out there that are producing stuff, I mean, they're going to be pretty willing to talk to you. They may not, tell you all their secrets, but they're going to give you some good clues that you can build some information from. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And I like people that are really working with Dinker genes. There's a couple people, Semper Serpents for one.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a cool thinker
He's
gene.
really cool, man.
Yeah.
He came over and actually picked up one of the, I don't know if he wants me to put it out there. I shouldn't say it, but he picked up something from me. He came over and looked at everything. And yeah, man, he has really cool dinker animals. And he puts it out there. You know, I have this dinker animal I'm messing with. But he doesn't call it anything. He figures it out first, just like Justin with the Gene X. You know, he took multiple generations to finally say, hey, this animal is going to be called Gene X, and this is what it does. You
Right.
know, people are too quick to jump to conclusions. Next thing you know, you got 3 or 4 animals, all the same gene, all named different names. You know, it's like, and I don't like calling people out on that, but I mean, man, it's rampant. It's too bad. Sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of one of the, I think downfall is a little bit of the ball python community as everybody's racing to get that first name out there. And,
Yep.
in reality, we should be looking at like the animal and the quality of the animal we're producing. And it's okay. Hey, if somebody down, a few states over produced an animal similar, you guys get
Work
get
together.
together. Yeah. Put your heads together. Right. Like,
I had that with one of my buddies, drawing a blank, Gabriel. Gabriel Salazar. He has something that Josh Beatty is working on. I forgot what they call it. The
not the
gold,
gypsy,
no, gold, the gold dust. I
gold
want to say,
blush,
no,
different
it's not gold
than,
blood. It's not the gold. It's a, you look it up. Josh Beatty's been, they made a group about it. But
oh, that's right. Okay.
yeah, but Gabriel had this animal, and Bob Gunter was like, hey, that looks just like something Josh has. Give him a call. I guess he called Josh, reached out to him, kind of fed him the information. Josh yeah, he shot him down at first, but then called him back and was like, you know what? You're onto it, bro. I think you do have it. And they started collabing together, and someone else in the Netherlands has the same situation, that same snake. So that'll be coming out really soon, and that's a recessive. They proved it recessive, and that's something really cool that they did that. You know, get together. You know, this guy, he's been working with it for a while. Let him name it. You know, you're in the project. You know,
yeah.
So,
I agree. Well, let's see. I know we've been kind of ticking away a little bit. Joel, I'm thinking maybe we turn it into a little bit of the fire round, and then we get
you want to do
some questions.
Lightning round?
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Obviously, you probably know how a lightning round works, but we'll give you 5 questions. We're going to go on just a quick answer spree, and then we usually open up to like some group chat after that and see kind of what's going on.
Wait, that's at me?
This is it. We don't care about Adam.
All right.
All right, so here we go. Favorite color?
Shit, blue.
Okay, there we go. Shit blue is a weird color, but
yeah. Dodger blue.
Might need to go to the doctor.
I haven't been asked that since I was in elementary. Hey, Adam got a free one earlier, so. Okay,
so jeans, like the ones you wear, are you a zipper guy or a button guy?
A zipper.
Yeah. I need to change the question. I got to change the question.
Joel needs a friend. Somebody, please.
I happen to break buttons all the time, man. Next thing you know, it's just hanging open. And...
I'm not even going to go there.
You got soft hands, Joel.
Yeah. All right. So, favorite childhood movie then?
Oh man. I was a weird kid. I liked Aliens.
Oh yeah, great movie.
Aliens was awesome.
I don't know if you see my arm, but I got a whole H.R. Geiger sleeve, which was the artist that created the Aliens.
Yeah, dude, his book is amazing. Oh my goodness, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Although I also I really liked Killer Clowns from Outer Space too. I'm telling you, I was a weird
kid. All right. Favorite thing to eat?
Tacos.
Tacos, man.
Hell yeah. Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday. Love tacos. Okay, so last question. If you could have any superpower, what would you have?
And I don't know. Any of Goku's powers, man.
Super Saiyan once.
I can't come up with any. So yeah, anything Goku can do, I wish I could do one of them.
If Miguel was here, he'd be fanboyed out right now. Good job.
Man, I love it. It's so good. Yeah. Dude, hell yeah. Okay, well, that wraps it up. I mean, now if anybody wants to, I don't know if we had any questions we missed from chat, but we can open it up to chat if you want and see what's kind of going on. We don't want to keep everybody too late, but this has been a lot of fun, man. That beaded lizard is so pretty, dude. That blew me away.
I'll have some at the next show when you go, I believe. I need to see if anybody has a couple more. I need to see if we'll have some there or not.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'd love to see those.
So let's see, next show, are you going to Del Mar, Jonathan?
Yeah. No, I'm pretty busy with my regular job, as you know.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of different things going on, but Mike and I tend to do the Pomona show, January and August, and then the Costa Mesa show, which they just recently moved to October. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know if you want to touch a little on your regular day job, but do you mind telling everybody what you do? I don't want to put
I'm a realtor over here in Los Angeles. I do real estate. I sell real estate, better off to say.
Right.
But yeah, I do real estate in the Los Angeles area. And that's kind of my regular job.
Awesome.
Takes a lot of time,
by the way. So. Right on, man. That's cool. All right. Let's see. Any other questions coming in?
We have the Sparks Brain had a kind of a funny question with the if you breed a banana and a coral glow together, do you get a super?
Well, actually, yes. People have done it.
Yeah, you do. It's the same freaking snake. Banana came first.
Exactly. People have already done it.
Yeah.
And Brenda keeps asking, Jonathan, are you selling your whole collection?
Is that my wife?
I'm guessing that's your wife.
Yes.
All going, right?
Brenda, that was an awesome one. Oh, man. Yes, Brenda, he's selling it to me.
You know what sucks? And then now she knows some things I was hiding.
That's too funny. Oh man, dude, tonight's been awesome, Jonathan. If anybody wants to get a hold of you, find you, what's the easiest way out there?
I do Facebook, Instagram. Honestly, Instagram is Taboo Exotics. I have Taboo Exotics page on Facebook as well, but it's under my name, Jonathan Merrill.
Okay.
You can reach out to me through email, tabooexotics@gmail. I'm on Morph Market as well, so all under Taboo Exotics.
Yeah. All right. Cool, man. Well, there you guys have it. If you guys want to reach out to Jonathan, reach out through those. Really appreciate your time tonight, man, and had some great stories with you. I'd ask you to bring out your killer puppy, but I know he's under training right now. So,
I know she'll just destroy everything though.
So. All right. Cool. Thanks again. And everybody, thank you guys for your time and joining in tonight, and hope you all enjoyed it. And a special little announcement that I've got here. Joel and I are in next week's stream, when it's just him and I, are going to be doing a sticker giveaway. I've got some stickers printed finally.
Yeah, and there we go. Sticker time.
Joel does. And so to win one of our stickers, we're going to be asking a question from tonight's live stream, and then one probably from the previous night, from the previous live stream with Porter or something like that. And whoever gets them right, then we'll be giving away a sticker here.
Yeah, so, there you go.
Hey, Adam, I have a question. Your sticker, your logo, is that from PC Surf and Design?
No, you know,
old video game.
No, I know that video game. And now maybe my subconscious was bringing that out because I used to play it.
That's an awesome game, man. It was like memories right now.
Dude, you're the first one that's ever. Oh my goodness, maybe my subconscious is pulling that out because this was designed by a good buddy of mine.
Google it. Everybody, Google TC Surf and Design. Let's see if we got some counterfeit stuff going on here.
Fraud. I'll get slapped with a copyright lawsuit. Great. Thanks, Jonathan.
You're welcome.
Oh, man, buddy. Nope. So, all right. Thanks again, everybody. You guys all have a good night. And Jonathan, thank you, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. Thank you so much. This has been great, man. This is cool. Yeah. I learned a lot tonight, so I'm pumped on that.
Definitely, me too. All right. We're ending the live stream. Good night, everyone.
See ya.